Boom. Welcome back to the All-Purpose Pod for an all-purpose life, wherever you are and however you're listening today. Call me Mr. You, the podcast. Thanks again for making us a part of your morning, your day, and your week with your weekly mirror check before you change the world, baby. We're in the house this morning with Herb and Raj and the Bo Meister. Football Talk with Bo. How you guys doing this morning? The Joe's in the house. You ready?
You know it.
Juiced up?
Yep.
Working on it anyway.
Yes. Let's go, baby.
My first show without coffee in
because
ever.
No coffee.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
We're in a little condo about to check out. I don't even know how to work anything in here. So.
Man, gotcha. you better get you some help.
If I nod off in the middle, it's not you guys. It's me.
Oh,
I thought that was one of those that forgot to go to the store and now you're just sad.
No. Home is stocked up. Home is where you know where everything is and how it works. It's stocked up. So
no, sir. That's not good. That's not good at all. Well, we got a bit of an abbreviated show today. Not much, just about a little bit. But go ahead and say some folks. All right, good morning. Win. Thank you for joining us. Good morning. Good to see you in the house this morning. Thanks for joining us, Wayne. We appreciate you so much. Keep those comments going. You're ruling the comment section out there. You're winning the show out there. Keep it going, baby. All right.
And I didn't drink coffee until this show. Yeah. I didn't drink coffee until this show. Now, the Monday and Wednesday morning every week. Yep. So
we change your life, man.
Yes.
That's right. Leave it to a guy from Seattle to help you create a bad habit.
Well, let's get into some things. So normally we don't spend. I guess it's time to kind of own this for what it is because I've been fighting it for a little while. Okay, this is the football show. Okay, we talk about baseball and basketball at times, but at the end of the day, this is the football show. Let's not confuse things any further. All right, but at the same time, we got fans that watch baseball and basketball, and they want to talk about some stuff. So I'm gonna do something a little bit different today. I'm gonna give you a little taste of what's going on in baseball, the things that matter to us, and we'll talk about it a little bit. So hang on in here. We're gonna chat about it right about now. Okay, here we go.
How to get better. Pasquantino. And he sees the first pitch slider. And he takes called strike three.
Is this Angel?
No, it's Buckner.
CV Buckner or something like that.
Yeah. Everybody's on this list today. So it's not just Buckner and Hernandez.
To be fair, he's calling that very consistently.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, at least you, as a batter, you know where that strike zone is because he's calling that same location everywhere. So
it gets worse, though.
I mean, I believe it, but I mean,
he faced his whole team.
And that's a ball.
3 out of 4 with the Blue Jays.
Oh my!
Oh, so his whole box is just low.
It's just his box has shifted down.
Yeah.
Long count 3-2.
His box is the same size. It's just
yeah. No, honestly, that's what it is. Like it's just the whole thing is just dropped a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my!
You got a better chance of bouncing one in the dirt for a strike than you do.
Oh, that's coming. Hold on for that one. It's coming.
For real.
That one's coming up.
But yeah, I mean, his distance below the box is. I mean, it is as close to even as you can get.
Yeah.
Big time Bucker.
I mean, I don't like it, but I mean, at least it's consistent.
Getting changed and finger pressure getting changed. And he takes call strike three.
He did a pretty good job framing that, though.
He takes three calls.
That's off the plate. Well off the plate.
Strike two on that outside corner in the ninth inning. Neto looks at the strike on that.
I also don't mind as much when there's bad for
Over the strike zone. For all the pitches Jonathan Parra has called off the plate today, that was right over the third of the strike zone.
Oh my gosh, almost past his knees.
That one's money.
Strike two, Adele, infield in here in Pittsburgh. We are underway with the strike on the inside.
Man, come on, dude. Wow.
I mean, I did see one the other day that the catcher didn't even catch it. It was so low. It was called a strike.
Strike right
Like
there.
it went between his legs and went to the backstop.
Taking off to third.
I was awful. Check out Brian Walker.
The MLS Cup all by anybody.
That is high, dude. Oh, come on.
Maybe
Well,
that
one
place
of the
is
things that has affected some of these calls this year. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of this is on your ump for sure. But
Come on, man. That's not no strike, dude.
Some of the catchers are moving forward in their box. And it's actually why there is a record-setting pace of catcher interference this year. In fact, a guy got his arm broken yesterday, day before, because he was trying to frame so closely that the batter's in the swing hit him right in the forearm, broke his arm. But so this year, they're starting to teach the catchers to move forward in their stance. And so you're getting a lot more of catcher interference because they're trying to steal pitches.
I mean, where are we as a game if you don't call that strike?
Last Diaz, we really
Pretty good pitch.
You gotta give him that.
Well, that's a strike.
That's strike three.
That's the whole play.
Oh man, that's more than enough, I think. But man, okay, so there was some backlash that I heard coming out of the Yankees camp with Aaron Judge. I guess you guys seen. I didn't have the video for that, but a lot of talk. Former players like Tino Martinez, Max Scherzer, excuse me, from the from Texas. He's talking about getting a system for the umpires. Now I know players got that kind of stuff, and we see it a lot. Well, I see it, I think, mostly in baseball more than anywhere else. Well, in baseball, but to some degree in football as well. If players aren't playing well, they start seeing less time on the field, and in baseball's case, they get demoted. So Scherzer was suggesting that they actually rank the umpire, which is something that probably isn't happening, or he wouldn't have to suggest it. So talking about ranking them, the majority of the umpires, he's saying they're really good, but there got to be some kind of system in place. And the worst performance gets sent to the minor leagues, which is like, it doesn't sound like it's a revolutionary idea, but it does make some sense. If they're not performing well, if they have a high ratio of missed calls, send them down to the minors so they can work their craft same way as somebody who's not batting well does, or somebody who's not pitching well.
A regulation type thing for
for umps. Does it make sense though?
I wouldn't be mad at it. A guy like Angel Hernandez would be doing, Little League at this point.
I think he can go down to single A and not have to go all the way down to Little League. But
you're right. T-ball.
No, I'd send him to the neighborhood. Faculty versus staff.
It's not even baseball anymore. It's kick the can.
Yeah.
Don't send a T-ball. Those parents would probably turn into an angry mob and just put him down. So I wouldn't even put that on him. But he can definitely do some. He can, I think going out to the umpire's going down to the minor leagues. Sounds good to me. I mean, I don't know what you guys are thinking, but we can't. The announcers not even talking about the game anymore. They're talking about the umpire and get ready for this. Reset your expectations because this is what's going to happen today. This is how the game's going to go. That's how they start the game off. When you see these bad calls early in the game, that's where they're starting off at. It's not a good look, man. I don't know where the game is heading. What do you guys think about where the game is heading right now overall? I mean, this is just one little situation in a list of many things, but how are you seeing the game heading so far?
I mean, if you keep getting stuff like this, we're headed towards the robo umps.
Right? That's what
I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you're headed, though. Like, the worse that the pitch count gets called, the closer we are to the automated pitch, right? Yeah. You'll still have one behind the plate. You're still going to have, your other refs out there, but at the end of the day, balls and strikes may be done by camera, and then plays on the field to be done by the umps on the field.
Okay, Herb.
No, I agree. I think that's the only, if it gets to be very bad and they don't decide to start regulating. Because, I guess in all sports, is it the same where your punishment is you get less postseason, but you still get to affect the regular season? So,
I heard that, but I don't know if I ever seen it.
I know it does in other sports. I know in other sports for sure.
It is definitely a thing. It's why Hernandez hasn't had any meaningful postseason games.
Right.
Yeah. It's also why I don't think he's allowed to do the All-Star game either.
Okay. We don't want you near anything good. Huh?
Yeah.
I'm comforted that you said it's a thing. I'm comforted by that. That makes me feel good inside, almost like this coffee. But if he can ruin the regular season, how is that helpful?
Right. Well, I'm saying that's the problem. That's across all sports. They wait till you majorly mess. Like in the NFL, you majorly mess up and they announce, they're not doing any more postseason games or anything like that.
It's because it's a union. Yep. Just so it's incredibly hard to actually fire somebody. Being bad at your job in a normal job gets you fired. Being bad at your job in a union, you don't just get fired, right? Like they got to write you up, and it's got to happen so many times, and it has to be exactly the same way. Like there's so many bylaws in unions.
Yeah.
That protect you, which, is the idea of a union. But the problem is if you got somebody that's just bad at their job, it's next to impossible to actually fire them. Yep. And so that is exactly how these umpire unions are set up, is you can be all but throwing games and keep your job.
I want to fire them. Send them down. Send them down. Are we single A down here or Charleston River Dogs? I don't know if that's single A or double A down here.
It's a different
organization. Like 189.
It's a different organization's the problem.
No. Yeah. That's my point on this. I'm saying that the umpires down here, there's no grandstanding down here. These guys are batting 189. It's developmental in the purest form of the word.
No. I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is it's a different organization that heads up the refs. Right. So it's not like it's
because they can't be sent down right now. You saying?
You couldn't send them down because it'd be like you're working for Pepsi and you're like, you know what, you're not getting it done. So we're going to send you to Coke. Like that doesn't work. Right. It's a different company. Okay. So it'd be one thing if you're like, oh, yeah, you're not making it here at Pepsi, but we're going to send you to Diet Pepsi. Right. Like, OK, cool. Same organization. But in this case, it's not like a direct, drop. It's you would have to change companies. Like that's why that doesn't work.
Plus, at Angel Hernandez's point, like what good would that do? I mean, it's probably more insulting than anything else, but he's not getting better. Like it's too late. Like there's no improvement coming.
So I'm wondering now. So I know we're talking about it and we having fun with it. We showing videos. It works for us for our purposes. Is this actually good for baseball? Or I guess is my question. We have to answer if you don't have the answer, but is this like good for baseball to have all this drama?
So
is baseball cool with this, or do baseball want to kind of have some integrity in pitch counts and strikes and balls and stuff? Because
so it's good. It's good in a way because at the end of the day, you have a incredibly long season for baseball.
Yep.
And unlike other sports, basketball has a little bit of this too. But unlike other sports, every game doesn't matter, right? You're gonna win 60 games. You're gonna lose 60 games. It's gonna be the other 40 games that make the difference in the whole year, right? So there's some dry spots in a baseball season. So having things like this to talk about is kind of important because it keeps the sport in front of you. Now, do I like it? No, I think it's frustrating. I don't want to watch bad sports, period. Right?
You want the players to decide the game.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I mean, even with that, I don't want to see bad players either, right? Like, I mean, these guys are professionals. I want to see competent, umps. I want to see competent play, right? So, but yeah,
I thought we all wanted that.
you would think, but the problem is it is a really long season. There are dry spots throughout the year. So, I mean, it does help them fuel viewership because people are outraged and it gives them stuff to talk about. And at the end of the day, these are all marketing machines. So they want your eyes on their product all the time, even if it's not for the right reason.
Like it worked on the show, right? So
we're talking about it.
So I guess here's a question then. So outraged folks are going to watch more or watch less? It's a valid question. That's not a gimme.
It's what I've said 100 times is your haters will watch you more intently than anybody else. Your friends and family, people who like your show, they will tune in when they can, when it's convenient, when they have the ability. Your haters will watch every second of every episode so that they can try and disparage anything you've ever talked about. Yeah. So embrace the hate.
So if on the Bama Standard Network, where all a lot of Alabama stuff, they have a guy on there. He's an Auburn. I won't say his name in case he does have, but he's an Auburn fan. He watches every single show on the network. He is the most well-known fan on there because he watches and comments on every single show.
No, that is my whole point.
It is the most hilarious thing to watch. But watch, he gets in the chat, everybody knows who he is instantly.
Yeah, so, haters are your best.
Yes,
your best.
It's crazy, but
they won't miss anything.
Yeah,
we got some folks in the comment section that are not haters. Let's go ahead and say good morning to them. Good morning to the second half of the Herb and Raj podcast. We can find every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. EST. Good morning, sir. Hope all is well with you with those beautiful babies of yours. Good morning to the man cave, my guy. Wakes me up on TikTok every morning. Thank you, brother. Hope you're doing well out there. We got an NBA related question. We're going to hold that for a second because we had an interesting conversation offline about Kevin Durant and his legacy. I think we might want to touch that in a little bit. But first, I want to chat and kind of catch back up to what we were talking about with the Roger Goodell Hayden preseason situation. I got a little piece of an audio from the Pat McAfee show where he interviewed Roger Goodell. I want you guys to hear this. Tell me what you hear, and then let me know what you think. After this piece, should be about a minute or so long. All right, ready?
Feels good now. Like at the beginning, I think a lot of players, and I don't want to talk for in the locker room. There's probably a lot of offensive linemen and things like that are telling me to shut the hell up. But as fans, it's like 17 games has just become like status quo. Is there a thought of adding another one? Maybe adding another bye week so we can get more exposure, more TV deals, or are we good at 17 right now?
Well, I think we're good at 17 now. But listen, we're looking at how we continue. I'm not a fan of the preseason. I don't think we need preseason.
Waste of time, right? And energy.
I don't buy it, and I don't think these guys like it either.
Well, they have to spend full price for tickets for those kids.
No, they're actually discounted now. So
thank you for doing that.
We got that done.
Thank you.
Thank you. But the reality is, I think I'd rather replace a preseason game with a regular season any day. That's just picking quality, right? So if we got to 18-2, that's not an unreasonable thing. The other thing it does, which I thought you were going to, is that ends up on President's Day weekend, which is a 3-day weekend, which makes the Sunday night, and then you have Monday. So that's now
we're cooking.
See,
now we're cooking.
Did you talk to the president about having the Monday after Super Bowl off too?
Need that. Is there a plan to continue to?
Well, go ahead, guys. Fire away.
So here's the thing: is do I like the idea of it? I mean, I guess sure, right? Because the games matter, and I mean. Yeah, on its face, sure, that sounds okay. The problem is if you watched football this year, there was only 3 preseason games. And what did the first 2 games of the season look like? They looked like preseason games because none of your starters had any of those practice reps because not even all the teams played starters at all in the preseason, which means those first couple of games of the regular season are preseason games. So you're watching really ugly, sloppy football. You're seeing bad timing between quarterbacks and receivers. You're seeing atrocious offensive line play because you're not allowed to hit people in practice. You're not allowed to actually go hard during OTAs, during practice, during preseason. So your first live reps as a starter is in the regular season. I don't love that. I mean, plus, the guys that used to get hurt week 1 of the preseason or, thereabouts or just before, were back and ready to play for the beginning of the season because most injuries are, 3 to 6 weeks. Now you're looking at all of these guys are going to start getting hurt week 1, week 2. They miss half the season now. Right. So as much as I appreciate the idea of, hey, let's have more regular season games and, people want to watch the games that matter. There's a lot of things that go into those preseason games and, practice and OTAs that they're not allowed to do anymore that are actually hurting the product once they finally hit TV, because those first 2 weeks made all 16 games look like Thursday night games. And so that I didn't love.
Heard.
I get, like I said, where he's coming from, and I like the comment in there. If we're getting down to 2 preseason games, like, we need some starters in those 2 games. Like you're gonna have to get some reps. The problem is like they went from like 4 to 3, and then the starters would play like less than a quarter or something, And it's like, Bo, I'm taking a point from something you've mentioned before. A lot of guys don't feel like things have really started until you get hit once, and you kind of get that live action, that rep. Now you're not feeling that all until, like you said, what is it, middle of the first quarter? Maybe you take your first round, you get hit, like, oh, now I'm in the game. Yeah, great, bro. We've missed, you miss a lot of action here. So it is fun. And then I guess as a fan, I like 18 games, but at the same time, I'm like, the season was fine with 16 and 17 to get sorted out. Like, I don't know how many races are going to, people think we're adding on 18 and we're going to get an exciting game. Like 90% of those week 18 games are 2 teams are out of it altogether, or one team that's clinched something and is resting all their starters anyway. So you're not going to get great football on that 18th week.
Exactly.
Do we have one, like Buffalo and Miami, right? Was that the only game that kind of really, really mattered coming down to the end?
There was a couple coming down the stretch that made a difference, right? Because the South was terrible, so you didn't really know who was going to win that. So I mean,
bad football, but yeah,
it was bad football, but it was for the division, right?
Right. No, you're right. I was wrong on that one.
So I mean, the odds of you getting good football there, to your point, is really low. So I don't love it, and mostly because I'm watching the NFL because I want to see a polished product. If I want to see something that isn't polished and there's a couple of guys balling out, but the rest of it is kind of mistake prone, I'm going to watch college football because that's exactly what that product is. Right. You got 4 or 5 all-stars on a team, and then everybody else is dudes, right? They're just another guy, and you're not going to watch a well-oiled machine for the most part. You're going to watch a couple of stars really light it up, and you're going to watch everybody else kind of miss some plays that you're like, should have had that.
Yep. Future accountants of the world.
Yeah.
I say all this, but I will absolutely be watching week 18. So, I'm probably a hypocrite in that.
I mean,
but I'm watching the preseason games too. So, I mean,
True.
I don't think that's the question, though. I mean, I'm doing the same thing you are. I'm watching 18. They go 19. I'll go watch 19. 20,
and I'll be complaining. This is terrible. Week 19.
Yeah, I mean,
all right, what's on?
We definitely going to talk about it. It's like I'm challenged with a few things, but like I said, that game, those games at that point of the season, what are we seeing? I know in I think it was January the 7th, I think it was, they were still playing meaningful games.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But it's like now it's like talking about the preseason getting cut. I'm okay with not having 4 preseason games. I felt like that was, what that was, right? The first 2 games, you're going to see your starters, especially in the quarterback realm, your starters maybe play a series or 2. But that 3rd and 4th one, you ain't seeing them. You're going to see everybody else, and that's fine. But hold on. Getting rid of it completely that doesn't make sense to me, because what we're going to see week 1 is football that we ain't going to like. We talked about it last week, I think it was. We're going to see football that we ain't going to like. We ain't going to appreciate it. We were talking about it here on the show, on any podcast or NFL related programming, but you ain't going to like it. You know why? Because that's going to be their practice. It's going to be their practice, but it's going to be live, and the games are going to count. And it's going to matter in the standings at the end of the year when somebody's trying to go into either the wild card, the playoffs, or eventually to a Super Bowl. It's going to make a difference. So I don't understand that part. It seems like it's motivated towards something else. I know Bo mentioned a couple weeks ago about money. I'm shocked about the way that people were cheering on him. Like, when did Mac become the voice of the people? When did that happen? Because I'm like, this is the second or third thing that happened that has something to do with him on his show, and a rallying cry started up because of something that happened on his show. It was an Aaron Rodgers thing. There was two other things that happened besides this. I'm like, he's a former player, and you think that the preseason is not necessary? Really?
Well, he was a kicker.
Yeah. I know that, and that part of it is slanted.
The players hate playing
it a little bit because he's a
the,
kicker.
the older players hate playing in it.
Yes.
But then they are also the ones that seem to ignore that game one was awful. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
It's biased to say the least for him to say that. It's really like, wow.
Sure.
Really?
I mean, the other part that is a problem with going down to 2 is you still have your roster cuts to go from 90 to 53.
Yep.
You're going to have 2 games to evaluate talent because, again, you're not allowed to hit anybody in practice anymore. You're going to have some joint practices, but you're still not really going 100%. So you got 2 meaningless games to try and evaluate cuts for 40 players.
Yeah.
I don't know how they can do that.
And then aren't they going to expand the rosters too? If they said they're getting a couple more games, were they talking about expanding rosters too?
They were.
Yeah, basically what it would do is they would add 5, but it was basically coming from your practice squad. And you were still going to suit up the same amount. So even though they're on your active roster, you're still only suiting the same amount of guys for the games. At least that's the way it read. You know, obviously it's not a thing yet, so I'm sure it'll have some changes if it does ever come about. But you know, I don't know how you're going to evaluate talent. Week 1 is going to be some horrible football. You know, we talk about a meaningless game in week 18. You're also looking at a meaningful game that's going to look meaningless in week 1.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off the season terribly and end the season terribly and just hope you like everything in the middle.
Yeah. So basically you're still going to have 16 good games, right? And instead of having 2 preseason games, we're going to have 2 regular season preseason games. This is essentially how that's going to work out.
Right.
The only thing that's good about his idea is that a whole Super Bowl and having a day off the next day.
I mean, that should have happened anyway.
That's the only good idea. Cause everybody was sick after Super Bowl, anyways. Everybody called in sick. Matter of fact,
no work got done on that.
I was going to say, even if you went in, all you did was talk about the Super Bowl all day anyway.
Like all day long, walking around with a cup of coffee in your hands, not doing nothing.
The only good thing to come after the Super Bowl is that Monday thing. Everything else is just
right.
From there.
No, you know what's funny is the businesses that I owned. The day after Super Bowl was a company holiday.
Good man.
Because I wasn't going to go in. I didn't expect any of the guys that worked for me to go in. And even if they did, I was just going to hand them money to not do any work anyway. I know how it works. So yeah, it was definitely one of those, you know what? That Monday, that is a day off.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's keep the train moving, baby. All right. So YouTube said he had a question about Austin Rivers. You guys got a comment on his comments before we talk about Kevin Durant again?
I imagine he's talking about the 30 people from the NBA could play in the NFL.
I am positive he's talking about that. Yes. Yeah. Your comments on that.
There's 30 guys in the NBA that could play flag football, but that's about as far as I would take it.
Yeah, so let's just break it down to really what it is, right? Usually, unless you're just incredibly tall, you tried to play football, you realize getting hit hurts, and you became a basketball player.
Yes.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just it's a very real thing.
Yeah. And that's why I say flag football. He's talking maybe athletically and maybe a build on a couple of these people. But I'm saying that's why I say flag. They could run around out there and they could maybe catch something, but they're not ready for contact. They're not ready. There's nobody going across the middle. You know, it's 30 is outrageous. I'd give you maybe 2. I don't know.
Well, and the thing that's funny about that is so if you take it at face value, be like, okay, athletically, could they play? Sure. Right. At the same time, athletically, there's 30 guys in the NFL that could play basketball. There's no question, because a lot of them dudes could dunk. A lot of them were dual sport guys in college, certainly in high school. So, I mean, they could definitely play. There's the distinct difference is you got 53 guys on a roster and you got 32 teams, right? There's a lot more places you could put a guy where he could bury on a roster, because he's just saying, would they make a roster? Sure. Yeah, because you could bury a guy, in the 50th spot on a roster. On the other end, you have 30 teams in the NBA, and there's 12 guys on a roster. Well, obviously it's going to be harder to place 30 guys from the NFL. Like that's probably not a thing, because the rosters are just wildly different. It doesn't mean that guys from the NBA would actually play, but they might make a roster.
Yeah. It's hilarious that he makes this comment and he's definitely not one of the 30. So I don't know why you're the one who became the spokesperson.
Because he for his career, he's averaging like 9 points, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds or something. Like, he's not exactly 0 all-stars. Maybe he has 1. I don't know. But I mean, you're not the guy to champion this argument.
No. And I want you to name the 30, because it's like, I'm watching the playoffs, and I'm not watching any of these guys out there that I'm thinking, oh, he'd be a great NFL player.
They always talk about, LeBron could have been an awesome tight end. It's like, man, that dude cries so much. He'd get his first hit.
Yeah. Anyway, we more definitely ain't having that conversation. We're not even trying to do nothing.
No, the body type is why they say that, but the contact is what's going to throw everything else out. And nobody else is
an issue in the NBA. Is Austin Rivers not aware of that? Matter of fact, he's actually a victim of it himself. Durability is an issue. These guys get hit on every play out here. Not the same thing, and they can't handle this on the parquet.
Exactly.
Can you imagine?
What he's hoping is the guys he's mentioning would be like wide receivers, and they just run go routes all day and never get touched. That's what he's hoping.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, if we go back to the 90s, if we the only true era in NBA history to be real, if we go back to that, I can pick some guys out that can play football by body type only, not by skill. Who knows they can even do anything? They can even catch a pass. I don't even know. No, that's an assumption. We don't know that. But from body type wise, I can pick out a whole bunch of guys from that era. Anthony Mason.
Mason was the first one that came to mind. Is that funny?
On camp. I think X-Man can do Xavier McDaniel. I can go on and on. I can pick guys out of that era easy.
Patrick Ewing would go out.
This era right here, this era, I don't know about that, sir. I think that this guy just talking. And why are you even saying this anyway? Just like, are you trying to convince the world that the NBA is not soft? You can't, because we got too much tape. We got too much video. Man. Guys flopping and falling down. He hit me. That's come on, man.
The league is sponsored by Charmin. Like, this is as soft as it gets.
Yeah, this is not. Thank you, Patrol, for sending the question out. We appreciate that, brother. I hope he answered it, because
I didn't agree with it. I had to go look him up, and I was like, yeah, this is stupid. And the dude cooked him for even saying it. He said, if you stepped on the football field, you wouldn't make it. We know that right now because you barely made it to the NBA. So,
he was on the McAfee show again. The voice of the
guy championing this cause, like at all.
It was. So. Yeah, it was on the McAfee.
The voice of the people again speaks.
Now, if we talk about a guy that's currently playing that probably could have, Westbrook, just by sheer anger alone, could probably have played, right? Like, he plays so hard that he probably could have found his way on a roster.
Free safety, right?
Oh, he would definitely love hitting people. He would have been that guy.
Right? Either that or a running back, right? Like, if he could have been one of those smaller running backs to just, like, just get out and punish somebody.
Wow, you know what kind of call he would get?
Man.
Tripping.
Yeah.
Right.
Tripping, he'd hit somebody in the nuts. Like, any way to cheat it past, there's Bill Laimbeer. So,
it's tripping.
What do you mean a flag again? Yeah. Okay.
What did I do? That blood on my knee is incidental.
He would just be this. He would just be the next era of Sue.
Yeah.
So real quick, I want to jump in this real quick before we get into our final topic of the day. So we're talking offline about Kevin Durant and his legacy. We heard some stuff from different social media outlets. I think it's funny because when I look at his history, the whole composite, the whole history, I don't see what some people are talking about. So we talked about his legacy, and I asked a question to the guys. I said, "Is Kevin Durant top 25 all time?" Now, if I put that on Twitter, I kind of know what the answer is. I'm gonna get back. If you guys try, you probably get the same answers. But I'm asking you guys right now, and everybody listening to our show, all our guys in the comment section and ladies in the comment section, is Kevin Durant top 25 of all time? What are you guys thinking? And you can recap what we were talking about offline too, if you like to. Real quick though, please.
So it's interesting that this one came up because as soon as they got swept, I was talking to people and saying, does this not affect Kevin Durant's legacy? You know, you can't get swept on teams that you're picking to go to, you know, so that, and now you're looking at an MVP, two titles and 2 finals MVPs after you joined an already put together team. So yeah, I don't know. I would say no, but it's a list I'd have to look at. Talent wise, is he like a top 25? Oh, absolutely. For his skill set and what he can do at his frame, yeah. But what he's accomplished, especially after leaving the Golden State Warriors, and the fact that the Warriors won another title after he left does not help him at all.
Exactly.
You picked your next 2 teams and they've both lost. So I'm gonna say no, but I'd actually have to look at the people on that list. I do have to give him credit for what he did in the past, but his legacy is going downhill quickly.
Yeah, I mean, if you're evaluating just talent alone, sure, he's a top 25 player, right? He's probably around the 25 mark, but he's a top 25 player. The soundbite that I heard was, does all the coaching changes hurt his legacy, right? Because there's just not continuity on the teams. And that's where I thought it was a hilarious argument, because you're looking at it as, okay, well, you created these bad situations,
right,
and then due to disappointing play, you essentially murdered the careers of the coaches that were there, right? That's not like you're creating this continuity issue. So I don't feel like that's hurting your legacy. The fact that you're creating the situations is what hurt your legacy. I mean, basically you were trying to do what LeBron did and create these super teams. You just weren't good at it, right? Like you created these teams, you manufactured them, and then nothing performed. That's not on anybody other than you, the one that jumped the ship, forced your way out of contracts, created a situation that didn't work. All that shows is you're not a good, leader, and you're not great at cultivating talent. And you certainly aren't someone that is elevating the people around you. So I don't think the continuity issue has anything to do with the coaches. I think it has everything to do with Kevin Durant.
Agreed.
Okay. I want to share a quote from him from The Athletic, and then a part of the editorial in the same article, and get your thoughts on both. All right. So this is what he said. His Shams or Sharania of The Athletic. He says, "I don't care about legacy. I used to want to carve out a lane or space in this game for myself that people can remember, but it's become too much of a thing now. It just becomes too much of a focus on other people, what he's done, comparisons. Before, when we wasn't doing all this debating, I cared about it. I'm about to be in the same breath as these top guys. It was big. Nowadays, I truly, truly don't care. I truly just want to go out there and produce, be the best that I could be, go home, hang with my family, and that's it." That's what he's saying. Now, this Jim, I probably botched his last name, Sharania. I think it's Sharania. I think it is. He was saying that Durant's probably a top 15 player of all time as a lock right now. First ballot Hall of Famer lock. I'm like, okay, this is his thing. His reasoning for it is not strong to me. I want to hear you guys' thoughts. What he's saying is that Kevin Durant's ability to create his own shot, hit a jump over his defender. He's tall, he's like 6'10", right? So he should be able to do that. Even without a good look, is unparalleled in league history. That was the only reason that he gave for this idea that Kevin Durant is probably top 15 all time, first ballot Hall of Famer lock. Now, what are you guys thinking? Because for me, I'm challenged with that. I wasn't joking about the top 25 thing. I can pick 25 guys I think are, I don't want to say better at basketball because I feel like we're going into a slippery slope. But I think just better as far as overall accomplishments, what they've done, when they've done it in, which is probably maybe more difficult, and some stats along with it. So those things kind of together as a conglomerate are why I say he's probably in the top 25-ish for me, maybe even the top 30 realm. I can pick 25 guys if I had some time. I probably don't right now, but I can pick 25 guys I think is better than him in all of those areas. Him being a Hall of Famer, Okay, but first ballot lock, I don't know.
I think in there he confused top 15 talent with top 15 like player, if that makes sense. Yeah, is he a top 15 talent at his size? Yeah.
No
Did
doubt.
he actually accomplish top 15 stuff as a player? No. And the last part of his legacy is just falling off a cliff here, you know.
Which is the one that gets you in the hall, though? The first one or the second one? It's the second one, right?
Because there's more stats guys these days, you're probably getting in the hall because of that. The criteria has definitely changed. We're not watching games anymore. People are reading papers and looking at his numbers. So they're going to look at his raw numbers. Like I said, he got an MVP at 2 finals MVPs. He's in. Yep. Okay, so we just ignored the whole last half. And it's not like some of these guys, you know, like Jordan's last days in the Wizards. No, we're talking about when Kevin Durant was still healthy, prime, had a chance here. And like you said, you willingly left every team that you've been on. You know, I know the Phoenix Suns was a trade, but you basically picked the team you wanted to get traded to. Everybody else you left as a free agent. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he forced the move. So it's one of the things that's frustrating with the new NBA anyway, is the players under, you know, I just signed a 4-year contract. I'm in my first year of it. I'm forcing my way off this team. Like, it's a bad look. I don't love it. But
Kevin Durant actually was forcing his move on the extension. He hadn't even started his extension yet. That's one thing that made him attractive as a trade was you still got him for like 4 years. He hadn't even started it by the time he forced his trade out of the net. So
exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. When I think about the NBA and the Hall of Fame, and I'm not a voter. If I was, I'd probably be in the same zone right here. You know what I mean? Who led in rebounds, you know, like rebounding records or shot percentage records, or I ain't talking about slam dunk contest. I ain't talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about actual on the court stuff that you did better than everybody. I'm talking about league leading stuff. That's what I'm thinking about. I mean, I ain't talking about you're tall and you can shoot. That's not Hall of Fame worthy stuff. I'm sorry, it's just not, man. So I'm thinking about
that's not how they vote, though.
I would hope not, because if you listen to this gentleman right here,
no.
Like he's implying that that's going to be what gets him in. I'm like, because he didn't mention anything else. I'm like, rebounding, shooting, field goal percentage, blocks. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that gets you. It's the same thing as any other sport. In baseball, it's home runs, it's hits, it's ribbies. Right.
Even in every other sport, the vote doesn't come down to your stats. Like, it
has to be more than 50% of the vote, man.
It hasn't in a really long time. Like back in
the day,
what else are you
using as the criteria?
It's a popularity game.
The community involvement.
There's so much, because the intangibles play an effect. How the media viewed you plays an effect. Yep. Do you honestly think that T.O. wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer? Do you honestly think that? No. Because if you look at his stats, that is as big of a first ballot Hall of Famer as you could possibly get. But because the media thought he was a douche, he wasn't. Has nothing to do with that. So you got to remember, these are writers. These are members of the media that are voting on this, right?
Okay.
So, and then a lot of these guys are going to be newer writers. You have to be a writer for, I think it was 5 years before you can actually vote. And then you have the ability to vote 5 years after you're done, right? So what my point is a lot of these guys are getting voted on that just kind of remember a guy vaguely, because you haven't played in at least 5 years. So they're going to go back and watch highlight film. They're going to be like, oh, he was dominant in this area and he won this and he was nice to the media and all of that. And that person is going to get in ahead of somebody that dominates the stats, but the media didn't like it.
Yeah. Well, perhaps we should talk about somebody else other than Durant then, because like I think her point earlier about the burner accounts and all the stuff that goes on the back and forth with the media, that stuff is still there. So it should work. Same like your T.O. example, it should work the same way for him too, then, right?
But see, the problem is it wasn't him attacking quite the same way,
right?
Like, so
it was more on against people than the media at times.
Yeah, the media talked about it, but he wasn't going at the media hard, whereas T.O. would.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it's not apples to apples there. I get that you don't think he should be one, but he will likely be a first ballot Hall of Famer. even if we don't think he should be, because it's a popularity contest, has nothing to do with your actual achievements. They play a role, but they're not what gets you in.
Yeah.
Because prime example of that, real quick, is who just got left out of the Baseball Hall of Fame. I don't know why I'm mind blanking his name. We talked about him the other day.
Talked about him about a month ago. Remember his name now?
Yeah, I don't know why I'm mind blanking in the moment, but I mean,
Sheffield.
Yeah, there we go, Sheffield. Right? If you look at his stat line, there's no question he should be in the Hall. But he was a jerk, right? And he was specifically a jerk to the media.
His wife was nice though.
But that doesn't get you in. So, but the point behind that is, if you were going off of stats, that dude is a Hall of Famer all day. Omar Vizquel, 11-time, Gold Glove winner. Stats perfect to get in.
I don't think Durant's media outlook looks as good. You might think. I think if you attack one, in a lot of cases, if you attack one, you're attacking them all. Because they're all like, you know what? If I say something remotely close to what Stephen A. said, you're gonna attack me too. They all say that kind of stuff personal, man. So I don't think he gets the pass because he was talking to one or two people he had.
It's funny, for whatever reason, Durant gets a lot of passes.
Yeah. I think we're just intrigued by the combination of talent, and we kind of ignore a lot. And I do feel like more of his blowups were at not media. I feel like more of his blowups were at people, like us posting about him and stuff. So
outside of like Skip, and everybody wants everybody to yell at Skip anyway. So that probably actually helped his case.
Oh God. Okay. Well, we're gonna try to squeeze us into the last 10 minutes that we got. I don't know how we're gonna do it. We're gonna try. NIL, opting out of bowl games, and then the Urban Meyer comments that he made. I don't have any sound for that, but you guys pretty aware what's been going on with that one. What they're trying to say is that what they want to try to do is the executive director of the bowl season, which is actually an entity, which I didn't realize. They want to try to get players to receive contracts in exchange for NIL payments. So basically, this is the exact quote. This is by Nick Carparelli. He says, if you sign a contract and receive compensation, you're obligated to perform certain duties. In this case, play 12 regular season games and a bowl game, or a bowl game in the playoff. You don't get to opt out. And he was saying that what's been happening on average is that 8 players per team have been opting out on average, which is kind of a lot per team. And we got one example in the game that we all saw with the Orange Bowl. 24 Florida State players just declined to play, which I thought I heard about, but I wasn't sure about that. I thought it was like injury-related guys getting ready to go into the NFL. But 24 guys was like 24 guys from Florida State declined to play. And the result that we got was 63-3.
Well,
so that was Georgia. So
that was a unique situation.
Okay, but it doesn't seem to be that. It's enough for them to have some comments about it. It's some other stuff too. But go ahead. What are you saying?
Well, the only reason I'm saying that was a unique situation is there was a lot of the players that were essentially boycotting that because they felt like they should have been in the college football playoff. So that was a little bit different than what usually happens, where it's guys that don't want to potentially get hurt before they go to the NFL. That being said, I'm glad that the NIL is like, no, we want to see you on the field. We're paying you money. You're playing the games. And as a football fan, I don't want to see a bowl game where nobody's playing in it. Now, I think some of that would have naturally changed on its own anyway, because you now have a 12-game playoff. So now these bowl games mean something, because you win your bowl game and you move on. You still have a shot at a national title. Whereas before it was like, yeah, you got in a bowl game, but your national title hopes are gone. Right. So now you have the opportunity to go win the national championship. So all of a sudden you're going to have a lot more buy-in on a bowl game than you did before as a 6-6 team that really shouldn't have been in a playoff at all, but you got a bowl game berth because you had a 500 season. Now you have something to play for. So I think you would have a lot more buy-in anyway. But yeah, I mean, if you're signing an NIL contract, I want to see you on the field. Like that's just is what it is.
Good. Herb?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the push for that is better. It's funny. It's like you pay somebody NIL money. They don't play that great. you miss one of the playoffs and you're in a minor bowl. Now you sit out because you're like, I don't want to get hurt. I'm like, so what did I give you the money for in the first place if you're just going to sit out the game? And I know for a lot of players, I think it doesn't matter, but for the schools, it absolutely matters. That last impression that you can make, putting your guys on the field. So I don't know. I'm fully in favor of it. If you take the NIL money, you should play the whole year.
Urban Meyer. Yeah, I'm sorry. What's your last
No, I was just saying, just imagine I was at Ohio State, I guess, recently too. But imagine paying some guy, you're at Ohio State, you pay a guy like the million they're paying him, you miss the playoffs, he skips the bowl game. Like, can I get some of my money back? Because this investment didn't work out like at all the way you needed it to.
Former Ohio State coach Urban Meyer was on the Lou Holtz podcast, and he was talking about how the programs and universities are using NIL now, and he called it cheating. He was saying that high school recruits and transfers, that have yet to prove themselves are getting money. And here's a quote from him as well, direct quote, by the way. It says, America is built on name and likeness. If Lou Holtz, Urban Meyer, Marvin Harrison Jr., or CJ Stroud want to go use their name and help sell cars to help a business, that's great. But to have a 17-year-old demand money for a visit or pay these players a lot of money to go visit a charity for 20 minutes and they write a check for $50,000, that's cheating. That's not what this is all about. I'm very disappointed in where it went. So this is not an uncommon feeling. It kind of feels like the NIL money. I don't know what the original intent was. I thought, and could be my ignorance, I thought it was because the NCAA were just using these players' likenesses so long, and the players never got anything out of it, and their names and faces were being plastered everywhere, and they never saw a dime from it. I thought that's what it was about originally. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. But that's what I thought it was. Now I'm sitting here looking like, wait a minute. You go to a charity and get $50,000 for going to a charity? The whole word charity is what does charity actually mean? So I don't know what Maya's talking about. I haven't heard that, but it seems like the original intent for the money, the way I understood it, doesn't seem to be what's happening right now. So
a lot of charities pay for the people that show up, right?
I understand that, but do you get Maya's point, or is he wrong in your opinion? What are you saying?
No, I get it. And some of those other stories are just where there are certain players out there that have charged just for you to get at the table to talk to them. So it's not even anymore about, hey, this is how much money you're going to pay me to. And I mean, it doesn't happen anywhere else. Like there's NFL free agents don't say, hey, you got to pay $1 million just so we can talk about a contract. Like you offer and you see what happens. In NIL, they're like, imagine you get 10 schools together and everybody's got to pay you $25,000 just to sit down. I mean, you're making money and you're not even touching the field. Like it's a whole different thing now. But we've heard that plenty,
Well, I mean, that's a huge difference between there being a 53-man roster on 32 teams instead of 1,000 schools with up to 150 people on a roster. Like it's there's room for everyone. Whereas, so the supply and demand is wildly different in the NFL versus college.
Yep.
So I don't agree with it, but I can see how it got there.
Yeah. Well, it's because they didn't have any regulation. They just said, all right, go ahead and pay them. And then they look back and go, oh, oops, maybe we should have put something in place. And no, it's too late. You can't go backwards.
So is there validity to Caparelli's argument or his solution? Do you guys feel like that's the answer? Get them to sign a contract, receive compensation, but they have to be locked into those duties. Is that that work for you?
I mean, ultimately, it's going to have to kind of go that way, right? Yeah. I mean, they're going to have to figure out some sort of regulation to make this make sense. Obviously, after watching Urban Meyer, especially during that Jaguar season, it's hard to take him seriously a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he does have a point here that they're going to have to figure out exactly.
I ain't taking those shots at that man today, and if anybody can or anybody should, but it's not me, not today.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're going to have to fine tune how it works. There's no doubt.
Agree.
Yeah, I like that. All right, that was fun. Hate that to shut it down, but we must. All right, man. So while we're here, man, tell everybody. No,
that's the wife, but she's not going to come over. She's just waving. Bye.
Come on, Brittany, just say hi. You heard so much about you. No? Okay, all right.
No.
Bye.
I just heard the door close.
Everybody know where they can find you guys, man, please.
Go ahead, Herb.
Herb and Raj podcast on YouTube, where you can find all our videos and stuff, and then on Twitter at Raj_Herb, or Twitter X, or whatever you're calling it these days.
Yep. And then all the social medias at Football Talk with Bo, here on YouTube at Football-Talk, and of course on Roku 5 days a week.
All right. Well, of course, you know we're here every Monday morning at 9 a.m. EST. Of course, I'm gonna go ahead and promote your own shows for you. That's gonna be your job, man. Wednesday wrap up. Every Wednesday morning, you can find the four of us and the other guys here. You just can't see him; he's invisible. Every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. EST. And of course, we'll be rocking and rolling. Got a whole bunch of stuff going on. The Thursday night triple threats coming on May 23rd. It's all wrestling, baby. If you like wrestling, chair shots, off the top ropes, steel cages. We're talking wrestling, baby. May 23rd, 9 p.m. EST. Please join us. And with that, man, we are heading out, man. Great having you guys this morning, guys.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, baby.